Phil, a couple of weeks now since the end of the World Championship. I guess firstly it was Gerwyn Price who took all the headlines with his victory. What did you make of it? And obviously I think you were pretty pleased to see him run out the winner in the end.
I was pleased to see Gerwyn Price. Yeah, we text each other a lot, me and Gerwyn do. He's a good lad. I like him, I do. I know he's got that little bit of a oomph in his game, but I do quite like that as well. And a lot of players are doing that now. I see the dedication he's done. You know, he was asking me advice before the World Championship. I can only tell him what I did, which I think he took on board. And he's gone in there and he won it with style. I think he was the best player in the week.
It's funny because I was on an interview with him earlier this week, and he did speak about the fact that you'd been messaging each other throughout the tournament, and some of the things that you'd said he'd taken on board. Is that something that that you could see in him that you felt you needed to pass on some of your wisdom?
I think with Gerwyn, he's old school. You know, he listens. You know, he's a bit older than most of the players, so he's got a bit more sensible. You know, some players you can give them advice and they'll just look at you as if you fell off a banana tree or something. But with Gerwyn, he takes your advice and he thinks, yeah, that's he listens. That's what he does. He listens and then thinks, yeah, I like that or I don't like that. And that's what I used to do. You know, Eric used to be telling me things all the time, and I think, no, I don't agree with that, Eric. And then they'll say, yeah, that's spot on. I agree with you there. But yeah, he's a listener and he's a try, and he wants to be the best at what he does.
I think you only ever played him once on television, but did you see something in him? I think it was up at the World Match Play a few years back that you played him.
Did you remember that?
Did you see something in him where you thought, actually, this kid's got potential?
Yeah, he's got fire in his belly, but I found him quite funny when he did his little antic. He didn't do it after that because I thought that's funny, that as he was jumping around the stage. And for me, if you do that, then you're wasting your energy, especially on a long game. You know, you've only got so much energy in you and so much concentration. And if you're tensing up all the time or throwing your fists about, then you're going to waste your energy or you're going to pull something. So you've got to be careful, especially when you're getting older. You know, so you've got to be a bit careful. I thought Chizzy did brilliant as well. I mean, 5-0 against Gerwyn is unthinkable.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. One of the asides to it all was obviously that put Gerwyn to world number one. Chizzy ended Michael's hopes of staying as world number one. Now you've obviously been there at the top. What's the different pressures that Gerwyn Price is going to face going into this year with that on the top of his shoulders as well?
Well, he's going to have a lot more work to do. Obviously, you know, you're going to have to get him now for do. You know, it all changes. Gerwyn Price said to me the day after, he says, I never realised how much work you did or world champions have to do, you know, by interviews and personal appearances and whatnot. Obviously, it's a bit different now with COVID, but his whole life's going to change now because he's a target. Everybody's after him. So anybody beats him now, you beat the world champion. It's a big difference.
What about for Michael van Gerwen? Because obviously it was 6.5, 7 years as world number one. Something you know what it's like to have that. Will it make him more hungry? Do you think going into this year? The fact he's been knocked off that perch.
He's going to play well, Michael, but people are not frightened of him anymore, Dave. Where his ability, he set the bar at this. People now are matching him, so they're not frightened of him anymore. You know, it's the same in snooker or boxing. People are not bothered. So if he goes up there and it's 9 and 10 darters, people can do it back. So it depends on Michael's mental, how he is mentally wise. You know what I mean? If he can take the pressure, but he's getting older as well. He's got responsibilities. He's got children at home. He's got, you know, which are a distraction when you're trying to practice. So it all depends on him, really. You know, I was very determined at what I wanted to do. So I used to like, I suppose you ignore the family a little bit and do your work. You have to do. But the circuit now is so busy for him. I mean, I am glad I'm retired. I couldn't, not at my age, I couldn't do it.
And I think one of the things that Michael found last year as well was that people were producing, and you see that with Dave Chisnell at the World Championship, a few of the times he lost to Simon Whitlock, people were performing above their normal level against him, raising their game. It's obviously something that you experienced a lot as well.
Yeah, I used to call it the Manchester United syndrome. You know what I mean? If Port Vale played Manchester United, they played well. Do you know what I mean? If Leyton Orient played them, they play out the skin. You know, you do play the player. When you say don't play the player, just play the game, it's rubbish. Of course you do. You know, if you go on the ring with Anthony Joshua, you've got to fight. You've got to fight the best you've ever fought. Otherwise, you're going to knock your head off. You know, so it's the same in darts. You've got to get up there and perform. And you seem to go into like a little bubble where you concentrate. You're not so nervous then, so you concentrate and they play better. There was two ways with me. They either played rubbish or they played brilliant, and there was no no grey section.
How about Gary Anderson? Because somebody that you had so many great battles with during your careers, even though he's not been playing as regularly and says sometimes that he's not interested, he went and made the World Match Play final and then got to the World Championship final.
Yeah,
Probably just shows his class as well.
Gary Anderson, I wouldn't believe a word he says. He's interested, trust me. And he's a big practicer. I know he is. I know he's very, very dedicated. But I think that it's just the years have taken his toll on Gary. He's been very, very busy. He's been up and down motorways, driving himself, which takes it out of you. I used to say to him, you need a driver, really. But it's just, and also he's settling down. He's happy again. He's got children who he adores. And just it's hard, for keep motivating yourself to, especially when you've got a few bob in the bank. You don't need to do it. So it's hard for him to say, right, kids, I'll see you in 6 weeks' time. It's very difficult. So I think that and is mentally what pulls him down a little bit. But I think with Gary, he performs at the right time. To get to the finals is shows you he's still there. Gary is, and he's only got to step his game up a little fraction, and he's right back at number one again.
Yeah. What have you made of seeing people like Dimitri Vandenberg, Jose de Souza coming through and winning big titles?
Oh, brilliant! I've been watching some of the German lads as well, and the Portuguese fella, and the not Portuguese, is he Portuguese?
Jose, yeah, Portuguese, yeah.
Jose, and the what's he called, Tenerife fella. They're great. It's great to watch. It's nice to watch. Do you know what I mean? I've enjoyed it, to be honest. Dimitri, I know he's having problems with his leg, but again, he is brilliant, and then he's not so good. You know what I mean? There's no middle section with him where you've got, for be a world champion or be world number one, you've got to be good all the time and then brilliant when you have to be. So that's the secret. Consistency. Keep your levels high.
And just finally to look at Peter Wright as well, because he's someone who, as world champion, what it's like to be knocked off that perch.
Yeah.
He obviously chops and changes a lot on his darts. What do you think he should do to get himself back to that level this year?
I would definitely get a dart that suits him. You know what I mean? It's swapping and changing. You ain't doing him any favours, obviously. But he performs. He can perform, and he's a brilliant player. I think the pressure took its toll this year. I could see it in his eyes when he was playing. He was nervous, and he was heartbroken when he walked off the stage. But it's something you have to learn, really. You have to go through this. Sometimes knocking you down does you good because you get back up a bit stronger. It doesn't kill you. It's not the end of the world, but it's again with Peter. He travels everywhere. He does everything. He's away from home all the time. It is hard. It's hard for him. I understand. The pressure. And the World Championships is one of them tournaments. My advice was to go and get your rest in. You've done your practicing all year. Make sure you get your rest. Make sure you have a kip in the afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 hours. But make sure when you practice, you're nice and alert and you're wide awake. That's one of the secrets, because you can over practice. You can go into the World Championships and you're tired. You're shattered before. You've got 2 weeks of hard graft. So that's one of my recommendations. What players should do.